Cloud. Got it. Got it. Okay, so we have a lot of classes on Keller Williams technology, but sometimes I think we don't get all from SOMO and Flex and what we can use there. So that's why I like to do this class about every 2 or 3 months, just to show you some hints and some ways to make things easier on this. So I'm logged into SOMO. Looks like most of you have devices with you. Go ahead and log into that also. I want to show you a couple things on here. Number one, here's my search bar across the top. It says quick search, address search, CRS tax info, multiple address, MLS search, contact management. Does anybody else's look like that?
Don't have that many.
I mean, I don't have that many, but yeah.
You can add whatever ones you want by going under menu and starring them.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can put them in order. So I put on here the ones I like to use a lot. So that's why mine are up here and sometimes a different order. So Flex, the reason I think they call it that is there is so much flexibility to this. It's not a one size fits all thing. The most important thing I tell everybody, so I'm going to the help bar here, contact support. Put this phone number in your contacts. They are incredible. I think they're based out of South Dakota, so they're in our time zone. Anytime I have an issue, I will call them and they'll help me customize and set up stuff the way I want it. So I just remind people from day one, put this in to your contacts because hey, welcome, welcome.
For the late ones.
That's okay. And we even tried to start late for you. Okay, another cool thing on the help, any screen you're on will have a video training. So typically whatever page you go to, you can click and there's a video to walk through some of the stuff. So just a couple things on Flex in general.
Where'd you find that video training at?
Well, this one I found under help, video training, but typically whatever page we're in, like let's go to address search. Maybe the help stays up here now. But whatever page you're in, it should bring up specific things usually, or you can search for. But again, those of you that are just coming in, I was telling them on Flex, under contact support, put this phone number into your contacts in your phone. I use it all the time because they will help you set up things custom wise to where you can make these things look the way you want them to. Okay, so speaking of, I'm gonna log out as the team real quick. By the way, you all know not to log in as anybody else, correct?
Yes.
Even if you're on a team, you have to have your own login. Otherwise, the fine is $5,000, just so you know.
Is it $5,000?
Yes.
That's a lot of money.
Yes. The alternative is you pay $75 a month to have an admin or someone else use it. And it's much more affordable than the $5,000.
I know we've had teams here who've gotten caught in that in the past.
Yeah. Well, and some have thought they'd done the things right, but, and a lot of people don't know there's a thing called super user. And a super user is where, like right now you see I'm logged in as Mike MDB as BTH.
Yeah.
I'm logged into what's called our team account. So there's multiple ways that can be set up too. If you don't mess with that, that's perfect for right now. Okay, so now I'm into my own personal. And you notice the things I have here. Are these the same boxes that come up on yours?
No.
Well, they're not. You get to customize this too. See the customize button? So you can put whatever things you want. I do love having the absorption rate up here. And on my other page that I was just on, I have the current news that pops up here. But you can put what, oh, there it is, message board. So you can rearrange this however you want to also. So that's just a couple things. Now, I know we're talking about comps, but a lot of this you're gonna see why it's important. Okay, I'm gonna go into menu under, way down here, my profile. And see under my profile, I have my names, my email addresses, my personal photo. You can put all your stuff into here. Like, let's see what name I have. Michael D. Brown, that sounds official. But my marketing name, we put Browntown Homes, Kelly Hunt, Kelly Nice, or Mike Brown. So it'll put that instead. My email addresses. I have Kelly, a lot of our stuff goes to Kelly first. That's why hers is listed on there first. Done. Photos, and you can put whatever pictures you want too. Now, why does that matter? Well, let's say you're typing out something for a client that wants to look at a house. I'm just going to pick a house for a second. Main Street here. And if I want to print this, call it a PDF.
It's down at the
Oh,
bottom.
thank you. Darn progressive lenses. Okay, as I scroll down, look at the bottom of this. There's our picture, the info, the way I put it in, and our logo. That also goes on any of your emails you send out, or anything you do, whatever stuff you put in under that screen we were just on, auto loads here. So you've got, whatever things you want to be important will go out to people.
Hey, Mike, can I ask you a quick question?
You just did.
All right, well,
Another
I guess I'm used up.
Yes.
On my sheets that I print like that, my name and all the information is just like smashed right up beside the photo. Like there's not even barely a gap there. Is that something that I can change, or I just need to contact support?
I would mess with it in that thing we were at, it might be the size of the picture, but again, support, they can log in and see what you're looking at and change that exactly.
Thank you.
So what was that under? My profile, team profile, my views, save sorts. So you can preference all this stuff the way you want it. Okay. So the big thing we're talking about today is comps and comparables. I'm gonna shut that door because that hallway echoes. Everybody talk amongst yourself for a second.
Good morning. Good morning. Or afternoon, whatever time of day it is.
11:11.
I know, right?
I'll say morning.
I guess it is.
Okay, so when I do comps on a house, and there's two different ways. Some people say, well, I'm gonna run comps so my buyer will know, if they're offering the right price. Well, obviously in this market, that doesn't matter. The listing price is now called starting bid. We just see where it goes from there. Oops, another chat. Hang on. Oh, we're good. So here's kind of how I start going with things. And let's use the house that Candy has, 714 Berry. First, so we're gonna pretend, is this for a listing?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna pretend like I'm going through and get ready to do a listing. So first thing I always do, and this is weird, I know, I hate this search bar up here.
Really?
I never use it because it will never get me what I'm looking for. So like address, I always just type in very minimal and it'll bring me up every listing that house has ever had.
Oh, so you go under address, sir?
But notice, since I didn't customize, it says Elderberry. It's also got Nixa. So I can select, we're talking about 714 Berry in Willard, correct?
Mhm.
So I can click. And notice here, results versus selected. If I click selected, it gets rid of the others. Now, another thing you can do, I'm gonna go back to the whole category here. Any of these fields, by clicking on them, you can sort them. Like if I want to see the highest price ever, assuming these are all the same, I can sort by that. In fact, we're going to detour for a second. Now watch this also. I have this bar open. By right-clicking on quick search, I can have several searches going at once. So I'm opening another link. So this search that we're working on berries right here, and over here, I'm back to just my normal quick search. Because Daniel, this is a question you asked. You know those stats I do every Monday morning where I look at how many houses have hit the market in the last 7 days? All I do is go to this page, go to days on market,
Okay, that's not working.
and sort. And I go, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. 7 days. So in the last 7 days, 243 houses have hit the market that are still on the market. That doesn't count the ones that went pending. But that's seriously that thing I do every Monday morning. This is basically it. I do that. And I say, well, there are 243 active ones here. And I change my search to just pendings in the last 7 days. And this can change too. I have it searching by number of days back. If you click this, you can do a date range. But I need to know how many went under contract in the last 7 days. Oh, it doesn't have 0. Sometimes it goes goofy, you gotta research. So 372 houses went under contract in the last 7 days, but I also look at it and go, okay, how many of those were listed in the last 7? So I just scroll down. See all where it says pending and status change?
Mhm.
That stays on, I think, 3 days. But look at all these in the last 7 days that have sold. 234. So that's really all I do to get these numbers. You all can do it on any town you want, any way you want to look those things up. And then obviously I do the closed also. So I go to closed and what closed in the last 7 days. And that's how I get the weekly stats. Then the north one, I just changed to the north counties. Then east, I do the east counties. I've just got a list of them I go to. 244 houses closed in the last 7 days. That was fun. Like I said, we're getting into all kinds of different stuff. Active search. And you notice this is probably in a different order than yours. This is in the order that to me makes most sense, because when I talk to somebody, first thing they tell me is their price and how many bedrooms and how many baths, how many finished square foot. All of this is customizable.
Mhm.
So you can go in and you can set your own search template. See right here? Mike's standard residential search is what we're on right now. And that's the thing I tell you, decide what things you want. That's where I'd call customer support and they will walk you through setting all this up. But I also have, total finished square footage, total square foot, attached garage spaces, detached, and total garage carport stalls, because certain people want certain things. Basement type. Okay, this used to just say basement, yes or no. And this morning I realized it now says cellar, partial or full. City, county, but then you can add stuff like, say they want a swimming pool. And then you can search for associations that include swimming pool. Or the actual term swimming pool might be under things on the lot. But again, customize this for what works for you. Okay, so jumping back. Oh, I remember where I was going here. Get rid of that real quick. Just for kicks, let's see how many houses are available in Springfield right now. As of this moment, there are 144 houses for sale in the town of Springfield. Here's our list. But again, you can search anything here. So let's sort it. I sort anything here. I said that wrong. If you want a house under 100,000, there's 17. Yeah. If you want a house under 250, that's another marker I look for, because that's now our average sales price. 243 actually, but there are 53 houses to choose from in a town of 153,000 people. This is the one that shocked me last week. And you can pick multiple houses or multiple towns. If you click anything over here that says see all, it'll bring a whole box up. So I want to see all the towns available. Look, I can just click the different ones I need. This is great on subdivisions, because if you're trying to find a subdivision you want, well, I know Evergreen and Royal Oaks and English Oaks are all nearby each other. You can get into this a lot easier to click the ones you want. Just for kicks while we're here. I know, we're gonna get into comps, I promise.
This is great information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hop in and play around some. Hey, oh, I gotta get rid of Willard. I mean, get rid of Springfield. We'll just do it this way. Town of Willard, there's 3 houses for sale. There were 2 on 2 weeks ago. Look, this one's new. Okay, so this will kind of help you, because the one you're looking at, Candy, is in Willard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, these would be the only 3 houses you'd be competing against. So that's important to keep together here in a moment. All right, so back to our stuff. So 714 Berry is the house we're looking at. I can also sort it by MLS number. And if I do that, it brings the newest one up to the top. Now, obviously, Blackberry doesn't count, elderberry, elderberry, elderberry. This is. Does anybody know why some of them start with a 6 and some start with a 1?
Remember we switched over to a new system or whatever and it changed the numbering.
Yeah, so it used to, every MLS here was different. There was Springfield, there was Branson, there was Ozarks Trail. And it got to where it was insane. So all of the Springfield ones started with what year it was listed. So like 06, ignore the one for the moment. The 06 implies to me this was probably listed in 2006. When they merged everything together, they had all these old numbers that wouldn't work. So they threw a 6 in front of everything from Springfield. No, a 1 in front of everything from Springfield MLS, a 2 from Tri-Lakes. So if you ever see a 3 from Tri-Lakes. So if you ever see a number throw up that has the 1 or the 3 or something like that, that means it was before the switch over to combining all the MLSs together. Okay, so Springfield was a 1. Before that, our system just would be 06. So let's see if I'm right on that. Listed in 06. Look at that.
I did not realize it was a date.
Yeah,
I knew that we were always, like 100,
yeah.
whatever for the longest time. And then the MLS sent out a thing like, hey, we're merging our systems and now we're gonna be 6s and. it's
Yeah.
gonna-
The 6 was so they could keep all the old numbers and just start fresh.
I love it.
And now it just goes chronologically. So that's why I just
Easier.
clicked that thing the way I did, because it'll show me that. Okay, so the first thing I do in a house is research everything I can. So the house we're looking at is 714 South Berry Lane. The old listing says it was 1,500 square feet, 3 bed, 2 bath. You will laugh at how different we did photos back then, because you had to take them on a camera, take the drive out, go in and load up to 6 at a time. Life was different.
And that house don't even look like that anymore. She has
Right.
totally remodeled the
So
whole
this is
house.
the look from 14 years ago.
Yeah.
But how many of you know that sometimes the numbers in Flex are not accurate? Everybody. So here's a cool thing I do. I go back to detail. If I click CRS tax info,
Although that's not always accurate either if they didn't
Right.
pull a permit.
Yeah.
but if I see both of them together, I'm pretty comfortable on that. So CRS tax info stands for Courthouse Retrieval System. They're merging all the data in everywhere. So if you look, this now has the most current listing pictures in it. So this courthouse system is pulling from our MLS pictures too. But down here, it will show you current owner, address, school info, sales history, tax assessment, taxes, mortgage history. I always want to get that because I get the loan amount from the beginning and I get a signed form from them. So the moment we go under contract, I can just send that to the title company. Property characteristics. Okay, look at this, 1478. It says it's smaller. So you might want to now see it says ground floor living area. What does that mean? Well, that means there may be, if it's just that small of a difference, there may be a bay window or something sticking out because ground floor area is the base of the concrete form. Unless you're in Christian County. Then they're counting the garage in. So if you ever looked at a house and said, that's not 2,200 square foot, it doesn't feel that big. Christian County had a different system. And so as these things all merge, there's little glitches still.
Just as a side note there,
Yeah.
the photos that are on here is also what the city appraiser uses in order to determine their tax value. So before you close a property, delete the photos except for the main front of the house, so that they don't automatically get a tax increase.
Or put really bad ones.
Or put the old bad ones in there from 2006, yeah.
But Missouri is a non-disclosure state, so we do not have to tell the government what we bought a house for. We don't have to tell them anything about it. If you get something in the mail, and I tell people at closing all the time, when you get this official form from the assessor, you do not have to do it. Missouri, there's like five non-disclosure states left. I don't know why that was on. Okay, so let's say you're gonna print this off for people though, and you know these are wrong, like they've added a 4th bedroom. Anything blue you can actually change on your printout. This does not change the county tax record, but you can change things here if you need to, if you're using this to present to people. Now down here, FEMA flood zones. What does that mean? Well, X is normal. But if you're curious about if the flood zone, look at this. The firm panel is a flood something something map. Let's click this and see what it does.
I love that map.
This will take you and show you the actual floodplains. And since I see no blue here, we should be in good shape. If I scroll out some,
We'll find some somewhere.
yeah,
Right over there.
maybe.
Oh, they have.
Oh, map image. So these are different ways you can print that off. Hopefully you never have to deal with flood issues because that's a whole other can of worms to deal with. Flood insurance typically could be, I've seen it $2,400 a year in addition to your homeowner's insurance. Just depends on your flood zone. There's A is like 100-year floodplain. I mean, they have all kinds of different things on here. So basically, if you go to the bottom of this and all you see is X minimal, sigh of relief. If you see several listings, it's like, oh crap, we got to dig into this more. Okay, so we've got info on the house. I wonder if I can log into my Greene County one. The Greene County website, and I pay $50 a year to have a subscription to it. That way I can pull up the actual sketch of the house too. I don't think I have that on this computer. I should have brought my other one down, but that will go to this. It's another way I double check my info and it'll give me a sketch. So it's kind of helpful if you're seeing a discrepancy on square footage. Now, one cool thing, I'm going to show you a couple cool things. First, going to go see where I click view larger map. Now I've got this whole area. I'm going to zoom in on that house. If I needed to measure something here, distance, like how long is the driveway if somebody needs to know? It's 47 feet. In case somebody has a 50-foot camper, they need to know how to park it. It will do area. So, obviously this one has the numbers there. But if you're needing to check an obscure shape thing, just area. You click your corners. 0.34 acres. So you can get almost everything you need for a listing without ever going to the house. I don't suggest doing that. Go to the house because you never know what it looks like. But there's all these tools on here. All right, how many of you like to be creepers? Watch this. Ready? See these double arrows over here? You can add all kinds of labels. Owner name, property address, parcel ID, listings, what's currently for sale. Here's what I like doing. Owner name. When you go in close enough, it'll show you the owner name of every property around. So do that on your own neighborhood. Zoom in or go to a fancy pants neighborhood.
Oh, no,
So who owns this house? Who owns this one?
I did that on my own neighborhood, Mike. I could even see when they last purchased the house
Yep.
and everything.
Everything's here.
And their last sales price that was published.
It was published, yeah. But the labels over here will do a lot of different stuff like that too. The FEMA flood zones, you can turn that map on, it'll show blue. There was a sinkhole thing on here. Now realize the sinkhole map is a LiDAR flyover. It's a radar plane going across and guessing. Most of them are probably right, but a geologist can actually come out and say, no, that's a celestial valley. It's not a sinkhole. I sold a property that was the case.
A celestial.
A celestial valley. Doesn't that sound pretty?
It does.
It's not a sinkhole, it's a celestial
What's the
valley.
difference between a sinkhole and celestial valley?
I think that it's not going to sink, it's just become that way over time. I didn't care as long as they gave me a different word, and they said it's not a sinkhole. But they'll come out and they'll look at it and say, well, look, there's trees that have been grown out for 30 years. Whatever happened there happened a long time ago. I mean, how many of you know where Walnut Lawn is right by New Covenant Academy? Okay, there's a sinkhole on Walnut Lawn right by Cox Avenue. It opened up like 5 or 6 years ago. So people freak out. We have 2,000 sinkholes in Greene County.
When you look at the map, you realize they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
This is flooded with them. You can't go 6 feet. in this.
Exactly.
So what do you, not to go on a tangent, but what do you do when you have a buyer and you're looking at a property and it has a sinkhole? Like, what's your next step on?
I tell them, okay, so one thing I learned, because I used to be on the grievance committee where I'd have to go hear hearings everywhere. I will never say it's my knowledge. I say, according to this map, there may be something here. The reason I say that, an agent, there was a whole big up-to-do, but on a house that supposedly had 3 bedrooms, but it was only 2. But the agent, instead of, because the buyer was out of town and asked, how tall is the kitchen? And the agent asked the listing agent and then said, it's 7 feet tall. They didn't say, the listing agent said it's 7 feet tall, and actually it was like 6 or something like that. So I never say what the info is unless I've verified it myself. So I always say to them, according to this map, there may be something here. We'd have to have a geologist just look at it for sure. But that way I give them all the info. A friend of mine lives in Highland Springs. They're in the floodplain because they're on the lake. So floodplain doesn't mean bad. It means you're on a riverfront view sometimes. Also, and I've learned some things that are important to you are not important to other people. Like when I first started showing houses, I almost killed the deal because I went in and went, well, but it's got popcorn ceiling. And they're like, oh, what's that? Does it mean anything? Didn't matter to them. And I'm like, crap, everything else in this house was perfect for them. And you'll have people ask you, apparently some areas of the state or the country, popcorn was asbestos at one point. I've never heard of it in our area at all. But you get all those kind of questions. So I've learned, I will point them to all the info I can. Don't have to do it anymore, but anytime I sell a house in Stone Meadow, I'd say, now, Kansas Expressway may come through here at some time. I don't know if you all have driven by there. It's going through now, isn't it?
It's gone.
Yeah.
I sold my house in Woodfield Park in July. And no, I mean, everyone knew it was happening.
Exactly.
It didn't matter to them.
Right.
But now there's all
Yeah,
the
so
woods behind
it backed
us.
up to where her house was. But you had enough deep woods.
So I traded that for a house out in Rogersville that has a sinkhole on it.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
Well, I've sold properties that have a sinkhole on. We've done the geological survey, and as long as it's set back from the house far enough,
Yeah.
it's not really a problem unless they wanted to build something there.
You gotta, the structure has to be outside of the rim or something. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of wording to it. So
They sent us a report, we gave it to the lender, everybody was happy.
So how expensive is a geological?
I think they paid $250 for it.
yeah, I've even seen them come out and just do it and say, no, this is nothing.
Yeah.
The red circles that show up showing sinkholes, I've seen them disappear because the guy came out, looked at it, said, this isn't one. They went back and corrected the map.
Yeah.
So in other words, I don't look at anything as a terrible deal breaker. I just give everybody all the information because, okay, I hate having a highway right behind me, but some people are like, that means there's no neighbors.
Yeah.
So I can be out in my backyard naked because the fence is gonna be tall enough. So I just present everything and say, I'm not the one making the mortgage payment. This is your choice. So,
Yeah.
okay, so all this to get where we need to get our info from. I'm gonna jump back into here. So yeah, go creeping some, play with all these things. You can measure stuff. You can do the different views of it, street side, but CRS does a lot of this stuff for you. It'll even do mailers out. Like if you're trying to do a neighborhood by, what do they call it? Non-occupied homes. There's a lot of way to dig in on this. I've never used a lot, but it will do a ton of these things.
I use it all the time. It's pretty handy. That's the current mailing that I'm working on. I
Really?
took a break to come to this class so that I could
Okay.
stop stuffing envelopes.
So we're gonna use this number. We're gonna say the house is 1483 square feet. Where it goes? Was that what, 1478? All of this is preliminary to see how I do comps. Because I've asked tons of appraisers and I try and do it the way they are, because that way, when an appraisal comes through, it's there. First thing I do is I search by neighborhood. And our subdivision here is Southridge Second. So I'm going back to my search. I'm gonna start a whole new quick search. And I'm gonna go down to subdivision. Because an appraiser is supposed to stay within the immediate area first. Then if they can't find things, they have rules on how they can go out. They can either go out geographically or go back in time, or there's 2 or 3 other ways they can adjust it. But if we can find everything we need on the first thing, bonus, we're there. So I'm gonna open up all my subdivisions. What was it called? Southridge?
Southridge Second Edition.
And usually on here, we won't need to know the second edition. Because, okay, so when we first merged, it put every edition in. So Stone Meadow showed us like 30 different subdivisions. And there was a whole subdivision project where they merged it all. How do you spell south? S-O. My brain ain't working today. Holy cow, there's a lot of these. South Ridge,
Go Southview.
which one was it?
Southridge.
One or two?
One word. You can also hit Control F and bring up your.
Oh, that's
checkbox.
true. Could have done that. Southridge Community Development. Oh, Southridge. Let's just try that right there. Okay, finished. And I'm gonna go for all active, pending, and closed. I have 10 in the neighborhood. Now,
Except you don't because Battlefield is one of those.
that's the next thing I was gonna say. Sometimes different towns will have different name subdivisions. So see how one's showing up here? Actually, let's see how many are in each spot. Bolivar, Brookline, Willard, Bolivar, Willard. There's all a bunch of them. So I could go through and click each one of these, or here's another thing I love to do on searching. Oops. How to,
You're learning all sorts of new
Wait,
things.
you're going way too fast.
okay, well, we've just started searching so far.
I don't know. Like,
Oh,
my
okay,
computer's not coming up like your computer.
that's probably because I've set up the way I use it a lot. Okay, these things down here, I can search a certain shape or a certain spot. So I'm gonna use my circle. I just want the ones in Willard. Now, it's gonna get rid of everything except what's in that neighborhood. How many? 5. Our goal is 3 or more. Now we just gotta hope they're the right size. How we do it on time?
11:36.
Good. Okay, so on my list, let's see what we have now. We have one at 1287 square feet, 1186, 2530, 2679, 2780. So we have 3 that are way bigger, 2 that are smaller. But look, we've already got a range now, and I searched a year back. Any more, 6 months back is probably more accurate because things are changing so fast, but typically we can use a year. Okay, so 1287 and 1186. Look at that. This one, okay, I never price a house by square foot. That is a factor of all of them. So like number of bedrooms matters, acreage, but people say, well, it's so much per square foot. Yeah, but this one had 4 garages and this one had 0.
Uh-huh.
So I always say an 8-ounce hot dog is not worth the same as an 8-ounce prime rib. So you got to look at that.
That's a good analogy. I like
I
that.
stole it from Rob Bell, so. And also, let's use that analogy. Okay, does the 8-ounce hot dog have cheese on it, or does the other? Oh, that's a feature we're not talking about. Does one have a bun? Does one have vegetables with it? All these things. And then I really freak people out. I say, I'd rather price it by cubic square foot because taller rooms cost more. And then by then they're like, just what's the price? So in other words, a lot of people just pull it up and say, well, it's this price per square foot, let's go. There's so much more to look at. Like Candy, you said this one's been totally updated, right?
Oh, yeah, it's worth way more than what,
Okay, so let's use this one right here, the 1287. You've been in that house?
Oh, yeah, she's my
Okay.
friend for
Okay.
13 years.
How does it look compared to this one?
Way different. I mean, she has replaced,
Well, so that one's got all new updated floors.
yeah, she's replaced all the flooring, just everything. I mean, the landscape,
Well, this is one that sold recently, so how's it compare to this?
I think hers is just a little nicer.
So it might get a little more value. Let's see when this one sold.
Yeah, because she updated the bathrooms too.
That was in December. So it sold for 167 in December. That one, if it went back on the market today, could probably be higher. Okay, so I still wish I could get some a little bit closer in size, and these aren't. So, but I now have a bracket. I know I'm probably lowest is 167 or 180. I know these are way too high. So look, I've got a pocket I've figured out already. That's what we're trying to do is find where this thing fits according to the local market. Okay, so most people look at this and say, well, here's how I run comps. I just hit this, hit CMA, download PDF, and it'll just give me that printout.
What does that even give you?
It just gives you those stats.
Oh, I've never used that one.
I've seen a lot of people use this for the buyer side back when the market was different, just to get a ballpark of what was selling in the neighborhood.
Huh.
But this shows you the address. They're all the same subdivision. Look at this. How many days on market? CDOM versus DOM. CDOM is cumulative days. It used to be a thing. People thought, well, if I change agents or cancel the listing and start it up, the days will start counting over. Well, it doesn't unless you keep it off the market 60 days. So that's why like this one says it was on for 6 and 38. They were actually on for 32, took it off the market, put it back on because they thought it would bring up activity again. But
So they have to have it off the market for 60 days
before that counter resets. Or you gotta do manipulation like change the address by one letter, or I've seen stuff done.
Which is really annoying when you're looking at comps,
Yeah.
because then you're like, that's the house, it's the
Uh-huh.
exact same house.
Okay, but I want to get three that are about the same size. This subdivision isn't given that to me. So what I'm gonna do is go back to that search we started. So I've got my 2.63 mile surge. That's a good space. I'm now gonna cancel the subdivision name. But instead I'm gonna search by the actual house. So we have 3 bedrooms, correct?
Mm-hmm,
2 bathrooms?
yes. You put 3, Mike.
Yeah, 3 to 3.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to get as exact as possible. If we can find an exact match, we're done. If we don't, we gotta go a little bit farther. Now, total square footage, we're gonna go 1,200 to 1,700. And is it a 2-car garage?
Yes.
Attached 2 to 2. In that 2-mile radius, we just found 44 houses that are almost the same. Okay, so let's narrow down a little bit more. We know it's at least 1,400. We know it's not over 1,600. And I'm glad you had a house that's a normal house. Acreage or weird houses, it's never gonna be this easy, but this is a good basic one to start on. Okay, now we're down to 23. I need either 3 or 6. I forgot where my house was. So look at this. See this little pin button? 714 Berry, Willard, Missouri. I'm gonna click that so I can remember where it was. I'm gonna change my radius search to 1 mile. So when I zoom back out, look, I've got both those searches going. But way over here, it shows both of them. So if I go to that, it shows me the yellow ones, or the first one's the big one. There's the little one. I'm gonna get rid of and you could have that going. You could have a rectangle over here. You could have, this is fun. You just draw a shape. Woo, woo, woo. And then you can tell it, I want it within these places, or I want it an intersection of them all, which wouldn't work at all in that one, or not within. Like somebody says, my ex lives here, I don't want to live within 2 miles of her. You can search not within. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of all but our little circle. Because our goal to get it to appraise is find the most similar, comp means comparable. So now within a mile radius,
15 homes.
we still have 15. So one thing you can search by is age of home, but that gets a little different because this one's been updated. So a 1970s house that's been totally updated is going to be a functional age of 2020 or something like that. Let's just see what we got here. I'm going to sort by price because we know these are all pretty close to the same size. You may know why that's a 0?
They didn't disclose their sales price.
You do not have to disclose in Missouri. The sucky part of that, it doesn't count towards your volume if you do that.
And it sucks.
Yeah, but a lot of $1 million houses, they do not disclose them because they don't want to be taxed. They don't want people to know their business.
And people have to sign the form saying they don't want to disclose if they want.
Buyer and seller now have to both sign it. Okay, so in our houses there's one about the same size. It's sold for $249, or no, it's active. It's been on the market 6 days.
It's a little high.
In this
probably.
market, that says it's probably too high. 225, this one's a little bit bigger. 220, 1452. We got a pretty good range right here. Here's one that just sold. Now, to make it even more exact, I'm gonna change my sold date to 180 days. That way we're getting the last 6 months since markets changed. Ooh, now we're down to 8. Look at this. An appraiser needs between 3 to 6 comps. So remember, just looking at the neighborhood, we were thinking 180 to 200. No way. This house will probably sell 200 or more with no problem. So I use this, and let's say I do this CMA sheet again. Download PDF. This is gonna sort it by the different categories, active, pending, and closed. I bring all this with me to show people. So I start big picture. I say, Here's what we got 2 mile radius of any size house. Then let's get more specific to your actual house. And all of this that you can show that you've done research really helps. So right now, we have one house on the market for $249. We have one that's under contract. We don't know what it's sold for, but it's $205. It's slightly bigger, we think. It sold in 0 days. It didn't even hit the market. Then we have all these that sold 5 days, 1 days, 3, 1, 3, 10, 21. These are all about the same price or the same size.
2 of those are in Southridge.
Really, where are they? Right there.
Two.
Those were within the last 6 months. Look at that.
4 of them are in it, yeah.
So why didn't they show up on the other? Because some agents are idiots and may put it in wrong. So that's why sometimes the radius search to me is better. It's gonna catch all those we missed, just going off the subdivision. Yeah, so you're
There's
right.
actually 4 in Southridge there.
Oh, these are the big ones though.
Oh, that's why.
Why did it, oh, I didn't go back to,
Did you not deselect your others?
I didn't. See how it says selected 13?
So you have to-
Unselect everything, then select.
There we go. Now let's see if it, I've done that many times. I'm like, why do I have these other houses? I thought I just got rid of those.
Okay, so there's the one, the other, and then here we go.
Now there's no Southridges in there. That makes more
But
sense.
look at this, gang. We're looking low price of 198, high price of 220.
Yeah.
This would be enough right here if you needed to say to them, here's where we're at. Okay, total disclaimer though, last year we lost 3 listings in summer because we were going off comps. And when I look back at what they actually sold for, they sold for 20% higher than what the comps started telling us. So what I started doing last year was I'd look at this and I'd say, it should appraise at 210, but let's add 20% to it and see what happens. Because I didn't want to lose any more listings. It was one listing for, the comps told us 450 and it sold for 550. It was $1 million worth by the time we had all 3 of them up. And so I thought, what's going on here? And to catch up with the market, we just started adding 20%. So Candy, if I was going to this house, I'd bring this sheet to him and I'd say, according to this, it looks like we're somewhere in the range of 190 to 220.
Yeah, no, she'd kill me because she wants to put it on the market for 245.
Well, she can try it. And like we said, it will probably not appraise at that price. So she can try and get it and get a cash offer, which is very likely.
Yeah.
Just for kicks, let's say,
Especially in Willard.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And again, there's the competition side. There's only 3 houses for sale there.
Oh, I know.
So this to me, if I was going off 2 years ago, I'd say, let's try it 210.
Yeah, but it's not 2 years ago.
Right. So now if I had 20%, that says 252.
So yeah, 245 is reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so here's the next step I go to. So this is what I'd recommend if you're doing comps, is writing this sheet, and then you can take these numbers, like take the best 6.
Do you ever use the full CMA option?
Yeah, that's what we're going to now.
Okay.
But I go, so a full CMA, an appraiser can't use an active. They can't use a pending, doesn't matter. So how many do we have? 8.
6 now,
Yeah, I want to get rid of this one because they didn't give me a price, so I can't use it.
right?
I have 1, 2, 3,
5.
5. Okay, we'll use those 5. Now, this, we're gonna jump in big. How we doing on time? And this is why I showed you all that preset stuff. We're gonna go to CMA. We're gonna use selected. And again, this is all being recorded, so you can go back and slow this down, watch all of it. We have a full CMA, a quick CMA, statistical CMA. We just technically did the statistical CMA. Let me show you what the quick CMA looks like. And you don't have to worry about this. It doesn't do anything down here. If I do the quick CMA, no, it's gonna ask me more things than I want.
No, it should just take you to finish. It's
Okay,
down,
just hit
download
finish.
it right now. At the bottom. It's hiding behind your
Oh,
stop share.
Got it. This is the quick CMA. It will just give you basically the way an appraiser would show you a comp sheet. It takes the ones we just looked at
Just scroll down page
and
1.
see how it puts them. If you've ever looked at an appraisal, it does like this.
Mhm.
So this you could print out and say, here's the ones we're comparing to. And this even gives marketing remarks. So if like this one says it has a swimming pool or it has an extra whatever, you could say, well, that one will have more value because of those things. But the quick CMA, you don't have to go through all the steps. I didn't realize that. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
And see how all these are here? This is just stats. I do like a 14-page thing, and when I get to these pages, I say, these aren't the numbers you care about. All you want is this last page. And on the last page of the manual, it'll say, here's a recommended price. But this is the quick CMA. Unless you feel very experienced going big and deep on something, and it's a simple house like this will probably do all you need. Because again, we're gonna say, the comp say it's between 200 and 210, but let's try it higher and see what happens. That's quick CMA. Here's my fun one.
Should have CMA type the first tab down there. They cancel.
Why don't we go to full? Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
That just takes you back to the first tab.
Got it. Okay, so full CMA. Now, to do this, I have to type in all the info on my house. So again, I'm going to go back to,
Well, that first one's just who are you making it for?
oh, that's true. I haven't done one in a while. 74 Barry, just to limit it, I'm going to go ahead and put the word Willard in here. There's the one we're looking at. You'll see why in a second. Okay, comparable market analysis for Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Made by me. I always click this thing right here. It says BTH, those cards I've made in the personal profiles, it will put my stuff in. So we use that card. So this will walk you across. Cover page, we're done. We got the people's name. Next step. Here's the info on my house, the subject house. You can type all this in, but I'm lazy. I'm gonna come over here, copy that old number, hit auto-populate, boom. It just filled in all the stats for my house. I also try and take a new picture so I can put the updated picture. We also know this house was actually 1478 square feet. So you can change anything you need to. And I've learned also to right here, I type in previous marketing remarks. That way they don't think I've done this. One of my comps was being used for an appraisal board hearing once. I didn't put that in. They said, well, this says there's 7 offers on this foreclosure. I'm like, oh, those were from 10 years ago. Ignore those notes. Okay, and these are all columns I put in too because of what I try and search off of each time. Okay, so that's my subject. My comps, we already loaded, remember? So here they are. Now adjustments. This is where you can get yourself in big trouble, but you can adjust values. We're gonna skip that for right now. We're gonna go to summary. This is the summary page, and then right here's a recommendation. It says recommendation 198 low, 220 high, 210, 980. How did they come up with that? It took those 5 prices, showed the lowest one, showed the highest, divided by 5. That's
Yep.
all this thing did. But, so this is the safest way where you've done no manipulation of price, you've not become an appraiser, you're not subjecting yourself to litigation. So then we go to next step. We tell what things we want. My favorite color is blue. I use navy on this one.
Never changed the color scheme.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna see what this whole CMA looks like now. Look, it's got comparable market analysis for Mr. and Mrs. Seller. It's got the house picture. It's got my logo on the front page. It looks just like an appraisal. There's our property subject house. Here's the comps. It puts all the info on our house. It lays it out just like an appraisal would. It shows our house on each page and then the comparables. That's why I like to get 6. I hate having this empty spot. I just feel better when it's 3, 6, or 9. So that's the only reason I do that. It goes through all the stats. You'll see all these, nothing changes on it. Then it shows the stats again. And at the very bottom, oh,
This one has the full listing.
I wanna get rid of
for
these.
all of those.
I don't want all these full reports, so I get rid of this. Now I'll do that again. Because all they care about is the pricing. They don't care about the statistical analysis as long as it looks like you've done the work. So it shows all this. And the back page says listing price recommendation, low, high, recommended. You print this whole thing out, you've done an entire package for them, it's branded to you, it's got everything ready to go. Okay, so let's have some, that is what I would recommend you do anytime you're getting ready to go do a listing. This presents the whole thing. I don't know why this is skewed to the side, like you said, sometimes it scrunches things. And sometimes it's the size of picture you're using that makes it weird. But you could then save this, print it out. Let's say you knew that you really wanted a recommendation. Let's say you knew that this was, you wanted it to be 240. You can just go and type it. So you can change these things as you need to print that out. All right, adjustments. I'm gonna show you what these do. This is what an appraiser does, and this is where you gotta be careful because you can get yourself in trouble if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so here's our subject. All of these are gonna be the same number of bedrooms because of how we searched. Same number of full bathrooms. Do any of these have a half bath? Let's say this one did. Let's say that half bath we determined was worth 5,000. Our house was worth 5,000 less because we didn't have a bathroom. So I put minus 5,000. We were less more because of that. Garage stalls. Oh, that one had 3. So our house is 10,000 less because they have an extra garage stall. Is that 100,000? All these different details that could be added. Above grade square footage. Ours is slightly smaller. Here's where I actually do some math sometimes and say, well, if they're selling for X number of square foot, let's adjust. So just for kicks, let's say ours is, well, we'll use a different category.
You ever use the auto adjustments?
Yeah, well, right here,
Yeah, well,
that one I don't.
so I have used those, because I was talking to somebody, I don't know, broker with a.
Really?
And they said, if you put in the average price per square foot in like that neighborhood, say it's $95 per square foot, it'll auto adjust all of them.
Let's do it.
So you just have to go in and actually add a number to it. Yes,
So-
you have to add a new
Yeah.
adjustment at the bottom.
Okay. Oh, down here,
Yeah,
new adjustment.
or edit your adjustment list. And then it'll have your auto adjustments. So,
Add new.
yep,
It's gonna make me go quite,
it's not too bad, you know.
so finished square foot. And let's say it's selling for 200 a square foot.
Yeah. And then now it should automatically adjust your square footage if you do auto
Let me, it's
adjust.
already had that one.
Oh, maybe.
We'll see. It's not letting me, but it will adjust numbers here. Just for kicks, let's say we were $20,000 better than that one, $5,000 more than that one, minus 25,000 there. And when we come to recommendation and we hit recalculate, oh, look, it's changed all those numbers based on the things. Again, adjusting those numbers can really get you into trouble. So I usually keep it generic and say, this is what I'm seeing based on everything else. So, and that's why it's so important to search by exact house from the beginning. The closer you can get it to being exact, the safer you are. But yeah, then you could do this and you could, now it'll do the whole thing again. You can download it and save it. It'll show that new price.
I think I have like an auto adjustment, like 3,000 for a bedroom and 3,000 for a bathroom.
But that's gonna change by neighborhood and by everything
Oh, yeah.
else. So here's the actual printout. This is the way this would look. There's page 2. There's the stats on this house, and you notice previous marketing remarks, just to keep me from not having anything they've updated. And any adjustments we've made show up in these columns. See all the differences? And then it comes out with all the, and here, the dot versus the color shows that it's been adjusted. That really doesn't affect them as much. It's just a visual thing to show,
Like we made some adjustments.
like recommended price versus where we're putting it now. Summary of the listings, but the only thing they really care about is right here. So it brings this page out and you can tell based on what I'm seeing that's sold, here's where we should probably be. But in this market, let's add, if you got time to test the market, let's add 20% and see what happens. And that's kind of how I say it is we're going to test the market. It used to be a thing that, well, if you price it too high, then it'll never sell. oh, you bring it down in a week and it's gonna sell when you hit the sweet spot. I kind of learned that from Facebook Marketplace. You sell something, you put it way too high, nobody says anything. A week later, you change it, nothing happens. Then you hit that spot and suddenly 10 people are at it. You're like, okay, I found the right price on it.
Do you ever do a CMA on the RPR?
No, I've never used RPR.
I do.
I haven't because this one was in first when I started and I never learned RPR.
I mean, it's like super simple and easy. I mean, they guide you through the whole
Does it really?
process
Cool.
and they bring up all the it's
It's
just
a lot
really
more
good.
in-depth
What
than
are you
this one,
saying it's called?
RPR.
RPR?
Yeah, it's also part of the SOMO.
Yeah.
By the way, that's where you get to all this stuff. If you go to SOMO, no, GSBOR.com, it has everything here you can get to. So there's CRS, RPR should be on here.
It's right there.
I'm blind.
It's
Oh,
at the top row.
there we go. Yeah, so if you're needing to find links into one of these, and it should work to where you sign into one, it puts all these on there where you get to them.
I feel like the RPR is easier for me. The reason why I asked if you used it is if, because I came up with the same comps you came up for the house using the RPR,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm just wondering, if it'd be better for me to use the RPR instead of the MLS.
You've got to use whichever one you feel most comfortable with. It doesn't,
I mean,
The thing I didn't like about the RPR is they made you wait for your report, like they'll make you wait 5 minutes while they compile your report. This one's just available immediately.
here's the most important thing though, the double check. So what I do after that, I go back and I do a brand new quick search. I'm gonna leave this, it's not gonna save it all, so it's all gone. I can't take your listing now. So now I go back and my range was what? Let's say we decide 225 to 250. I come back here and do what I call my competition. And we know there's only a couple in Wheeler. Actually, there's a couple right there. So this is where I pull what we're gonna be competing against.
Yeah.
So within a 2-mile radius of Wheeler, or however big an angle I pulled here.
7 miles.
Oh, that big. Okay, so here's one, 229 that's smaller. 229 that's bigger. 234,
Same size.
same size. 249,
Also same size.
yeah. So that's where it starts looking at, okay, 3-bedroom. Same size, but very different type of house. You gotta look at which ones have acreage.
but yeah, I was about to say, but does it have acreage?
This one has an acre on it.
The Tarkio is probably pretty similar.
That looks, so this one is probably our closest competition right now. But I always do a double check, and used to there'd be like 15 of them. Now on, it's not. You know what, on the double check, let's add pending also. See what has been on the market and sold in the last 14 days. 5. 240, look at that. 245, almost same size. 245, a little bit bigger, much bigger, much bigger. Don't know why those are different.
Well, probably because it wasn't updated.
Check the Cedar Ridge. Yeah, look at the photos too on the ones that are, like the Cedar Ridge look like it's pretty close.
That one just closed or just went under, but well, that doesn't look like 2,700 square foot to me.
Or, like a lot of people, they lowball it, to
Right,
get into a bidding war.
true.
A lot of real estate agents do that.
I've been seeing a lot of that lately, which is kind of smart if your client's okay with it.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
if you do that, here's what I'd recommend, because we had one on Craig Street and we listed it, 60 showings. It looked like a zoo going across there. We listed on a Friday and Kelly Hunt got really smart. She said, no offers are going to be looked at till Monday.
Yep.
So it gave people a relaxed time to look through it. She got 2 buyers out of it because it was on the market for 4 more days. So she had a couple sign calls come off of it.
Oh, nice.
Selling in one day is not in the best interest of you or your seller right now, unless,
Unless they've got
that's
like
a very
family
vague
thing.
term, but let's say they're trying to get under contract on something else, maybe it is better for them. But if they've got time, you might as well stretch it out some. One in my neighborhood is actually having an open house starting 4 minutes ago. And they're running it till 3 hours today, and then they're gonna do offers like in 2 days. But that gives your house time, and it gets rid of this urgent nervousness.
Right.
And people get time to think about it, put together an offer rather than slapping together at the last minute.
Yeah,
I saw my brother's house that way. We had a date, we were gonna look at it. I had one realtor from another company that was determined. He was going to get me to tell him about his, take his offer. And, one of the things I ran into is I got an extra couple people out of it, but when we went to do it, he was upset with me because, he had offered more money, but my buyers wanted someone that maybe they could help a family. And but he was just so wound up over the fact that, I didn't take his offer the minute that he gave it to me.
Well, the bottom line is we're working for our clients. That's our main fiduciary responsibility, is to present them all the info and let them make the choice. That's one of the things I learned from my dad. He never gave me advice ever. He'd say, here's this option, here's this option. It's your choice. You get to live. So that's, I've seriously said to people, you get to make the mortgage payment. So it's got to be your decision on what we're doing here. So. All right, that's the quick sum up of how I look at it to try and match what an appraiser is going to look at. Any other questions, anything online? Let me see if any chat pops up.
I have a question, Mike. How do you change things when you're looking at a property that has a little bit of acreage with it, and you're not going to find the exact house that also has 3.7 acres? How do you piecemeal them out? You figure out about how much the house is worth, and then figure out about how much 3 acres, 10 acres is worth?
I will, it depends a lot on, each house is going to be a little individual. So I try to take multiple approaches to it. If it's like a whole area like that, like a bunch of houses on acreage, I might do a range of 1 to 5 or 5 to 8 or something like that to see if I can find anything similar. Because that's the way an appraiser looks at it. What can I do to adjust and find something similar? We had one of our clients was looking at a house or a property that had a mobile home on it. And 3 acres, $100,000. I'm like, well, let's see what land is selling for first. Land there was selling for $2,000 an acre. So that meant $6,000 of acreage value. So that trailer better be worth $94,000.
Right.
Which it's not. So that's, I take any approach I can or multiples. And what I hope is that they're coming up with the same range from different ways.
Okay, but say you have a property that has, I don't know, 20 acres, and all the other comps that you're finding have 5 acres of land. Are you then figuring out the comps based on the other ones that are 5 acres, and then you're figuring out about how much 15 acres of just land by itself is
I'm
worth?
gonna try to figure out the land price and do an adjustment and say, your house, if it had 5 acres, would sell for this, but since you got more and land is selling for this price, and so it's kind of a piecemeal thing is how I do it. Thank you. What have you done before?
That's pretty much exactly what I've done but you have to do the price in that area for land because it's really ranging. If you get out to like Bolivar, it's a little bit cheaper than it is the closer you get to Springfield. And then are the 5-acre houses, are they technically in a subdivision with community covenants and restrictions? Is yours unrestricted? Because there's a difference in unrestricted land versus restricted land. So you just have to be really careful about like what land you're looking at for your price comps too.
Like the way you price land towards Rogersville, from Springfield out to Highway 125, 20,000 an acre. From that highway to the next highway, 10,000 an acre. From there out, 5,000 and then 2,500.
no, but
So you got to stay in the areas pretty well.
Is unrestricted land more valuable to clients than?
It all depends on what they want. Like some people who want to go hunting, they want wooded land. Other people who want to grow crops. And so you got to just find as similar as you can. And sometimes it's a process going through all that.
I was working with one family and some of them were like, I want a house in a subdivision with covenants and restrictions. Nobody can park their car in the street. Nobody can have a boat showing, yada, yada. And the other one said, oh my goodness, no way.
It's my
I want a
land, my
house.
rules.
Yeah, if I own this land, I want to do whatever I want. If I want to put up a gazebo or dig a pit or whatever, I should be able to do that. It's my house.
It's like a pool. It's either a love or hate.
Yeah.
Either people want it or they don't. And it's not gonna, if the house is perfect, but they don't want it, they ain't gonna do it. So. Another thing, look back in time. So if you can't find anything in a year, try 2 years. Just try and have some kind of basis for where you came from it. That way, if a appraiser has questions, The appraisers want to make the deal work, but they gotta know where you came up
Most
with
of
a
them,
price
yeah.
sometimes, most of them, yeah.
There's a fellow that's running around the internet there right now. It doesn't look like it.
And Candy,
Yeah.
James Woody online says he has a buyer that might be interested in the house that we're discussing, so.
I already know, like, if I put that house on market,
Yeah.
it's gonna be gone.
All right, I think that's got it all. Hope that helps some. There's not a right way. There's just coming up with the most logical conclusion and whatever you feel comfortable with. And just like contracts, you're not supposed to write law and put extra words in. Just be careful because you don't wanna do things that we aren't authorized to do, so.
Hey, I learned some new things and I've been using it for 6 years, so.
Yeah. Every time I do this, I learn something like you just taught me something like, wow.
There are
Like
things
is-
that people use that nobody else uses.
Is it better to, when you're running comms, you talked about the fact that square footage isn't a big
Yeah.
contender.
Hang on one second, we're gonna kill the recording.
Okay.
Everyone online, see you all later. Hope that helps. James, get a hold of Candy.